Hello, hello, and hello. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on today. I'm going to give some people a few minutes to be able to just go ahead and log on. You probably get the notification that we have started. So I want to do that, but I'm not going to take too much of the time today. As you can probably tell, I am trying to get over something, and so I want to be able to talk as long as I can before my voice starts to go out. But this again is one of those things that I felt was really important that I discuss. So let me go ahead and do it before anything else happens. So I am here today. I'm glad that you are here today. If you're tuning in, go ahead and let me know where you are tuning in from so that way I can say hello and know that you are here. And also, what is going on with your weather? I feel like I'm all caught up in the weather now because we are in that interesting transition. And at first, like last week, our weather, we were really hot. Even up until Saturday, it was really hot, 80s, 90s on Saturday. And then we kind of plummeted. And so I think the transition in the weather is kind of affecting things as well. But to go ahead and get started, I want to just talk about getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. That is a topic that just keeps coming up to me because I continue to encounter this and I understand and I've noticed that it has been a huge barrier for people getting their healing. And by healing, I'm not just talking about like your health healing. I'm talking about relationships, things of that nature, because I understand that having uncomfortable conversations actually affect us in all of our relationships. It affects us every day sometimes, if we have to go and approach that coworker. It affects us in a lot of different things that we do and not just your health. And like I said, my thing is that I know that it can do that for you. I know that it can affect you. Hi, Miss Diane. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for letting me know that you're here. But I wanted to just say, because I understand that this, overall your health is affected by your personal life. It's affected by all of the things that you do. And if those things are not in order, a lot of times it's going to affect your health, and your health is not going to be in order. So let's just get into it. When I think about this, one of the things that came to my mind, I was like, why do we have such a hard time having uncomfortable conversations? Like, why? I just don't understand it. But then when I thought about it, I said, what is one of the biggest conversations that all of us were supposed to have had? And the biggest one that we were supposed to get that is uncomfortable is puberty. Now, all of you who are out there watching, let me know if an adult sat down and gave you the appropriate puberty talk. And not only did they give it to you, did they make you feel comfortable with it? Did these people, the adults who were supposed to kind of guide you through this process, because all of us have to go through puberty. That's just a part of life. It's just what happens. But is that something that someone sat down and said, this is how this is supposed to go? This is what's happening to your body. This is what's going to happen to your body. This is how we approach it. In my experience, most people did not get that conversation. Some people got it like when they were in high school or middle school. Actually, a lot of kids were getting it in middle school. Sometimes they're starting to take that out of the schools, but they got it. But I know that a lot of kids really weren't listening because they're awkward. They're around their friends. They're in this weird stage. They're not going to talk to their friends about it. They feel a little weird about it. So everybody's like, oh. So nobody's saying anything about it. And I realized that's where we dropped the ball because we all have to go through this process, but a lot of people aren't talking about it. And then you get into adulthood and you still don't understand some basic things. Like I still come in contact with some adults and I'm like, okay, that's what we're still thinking. Okay, so now we're going to have a little bit more education about what's going on because what you're thinking, that's not how it works, right? But it's not their fault because someone else is supposed to guide them. And the people who probably guided them were other kids their age, or you listen to a teenager to tell you certain things that they may have read in a magazine. But because of that, I say, I understand why we have a problem approaching uncomfortable conversations, but we have to do it because it does affect your health. For instance, I had another patient to come in to me and he said, I was having these symptoms. And then I told my mom about it. And my mom said, oh, okay, yeah, I had that. And your daddy had it too. And he was like, really? Like, when was someone going to tell me about this? Because if I had known that I was going to start experiencing this, then it could have been on my radar. I could have told my doctor. I could have started looking out for symptoms. But he was a little bit frustrated, to say the least, about that situation. And he said his mom told him, well, we just don't talk about those types of things. Those are not the kind of conversations that we have. And he was like, I mean, I understand that we don't broadcast it to everybody, but at least tell me, because then that way I can do something about it. And that's what I tell a lot of people. You also need to know your family history. But getting that information can be tricky because you may have some people in your family that say, yeah, no, we don't talk about those types of things. You may have heard about this family member died from this, and then this family member died from that, and this person, or they had this kind of symptom, and you're like, okay, but no one really walked you through it and told you more specific information. I have a lot of people say, yeah, I had an Uncle Joe and he died from some kind of cancer. Then I had an Aunt Mary, and then, yeah, I think she had some kind of cancer. Maybe she had a heart attack. Then I had a son. And so they have some information, but they don't have a lot. But I say, if we notice a pattern, if you're starting to notice a pattern in your family, you may not get all the information and all the history. And I get it. Totally understand. But if you have some patterns that you're noticing in your family, I would say start to investigate and see if you can get some more of that information, because it can affect you personally. And when I think about personal health, I start thinking about, you have to know about like your body and come to terms with some things that may be going on with you, and get uncomfortable with the conversations that you're going to have to, kind of get out of this uncomfortableness that you have, and start getting comfortable with the conversations that you're going to have with yourself. Okay, this is what's going on. This is what I need to do about it. You can be surprised how many people are honestly in denial kind of about themselves. And I say, you know what? It's okay. Don't worry about it. But if there's some other things that's going on when it comes to your personal history, the other thing that I think about is when people don't tell certain things because of judgment. One of the things that I've realized that people don't really talk about is, and they don't want to come forward with information, is because they're concerned that they're going to be judged. And I really am a little upset about that, because people don't feel like they can trust their provider enough for certain information. But I tell them, you have to do it, because a lot of times if you don't tell somebody something, it can be deadly or can cause you a lot of issues. So I tell people, listen, go ahead and make sure that you take care of what you have going on, and that you tell your doctor of what's been going on. And so what they will do is withhold pertinent information. One time I had a patient that was on some illegal drugs and they started having these symptoms. And I said, oh, these are some really weird symptoms. Let me see what we need to do. And I asked them, point out, are you taking X, Y, and Z? Are you doing any illegal drugs? Nope, not doing it. Okay. Good thing is we were able to test it, and we able to come back and find out, yeah, you did. And so then I said, well, why didn't you tell me? They said, because I didn't want you to think a certain way about me, or I was ashamed. And I get that. I understand that, but you have to understand, you need to go ahead and tell that information, because it can be deadly. There are drugs that we can give you, there are medications that we can give you that can actually make you worse. And if you don't come forward with that information, then it puts us in a bind. So we want you to be honest with us and let us know what's going on. So you say, well, how do I do that? And it's a few ways that you can do it. If you are trying to get answers from somebody, understand that the person that's giving that information are going to need a time to process it and have to be open to this situation. Okay. So, what you have to do is, once you say, you know what, I want to talk to my mom, my dad, whoever about this situation, approach them and say, I have something important that I want to talk to you about. When do you have time? Because what you want to do is you want to be intentional about that. You want to be able to set aside some time where you can get some information, get some of what you need. You don't want it to be something in passing if you can help it. If you are at that moment, hey, in 10 minutes, it doesn't have to be scheduled months out, weeks out, but in a few minutes, hey, can we talk about this situation? You want to be able to do that because if it's something important, people start to clam up and they have a defense mechanism. And when they have this defense, their body is protect, protect, protect. And how am I going to protect? Everybody's defense mechanism is different. And some people shut down. And if somebody is shut down, they're not telling you anything. They are not giving you any information. The other thing is be patient with this process. Understand that if this information wasn't given to you freely a while before, then it's probably not going to just come flowing out like a river this time. So you're going to have to say, okay, and get what information you can get, and then let that person process and decompress, and then say, when can we follow up? And let them have that moment. But know that it may take a few conversations. If somebody is trying to give you information, if you're trying to give information to somebody and you're not the most comfortable with the topic that they're talking about, just relax and try to be as open to the discussion as possible, because they're probably not trying to be intrusive and in your business and things like that. They are probably trying to figure out, how can I use this information to help myself, to help better the family, whatever that may be. So you want to be open to the process. But I ask everybody to just start getting more comfortable, because what I know for sure is that this information is going to really make you better overall. Once you find your person, and I know you guys probably hear me say this all the time, but once you find your person that's going to support you, then you feel much better, because this is what I know. As a family physician, I see people in all walks of life, from birth to literally death. And I have to walk them through that process all the time. And sometimes those moments are joyful and I enjoy them. We have excitement. I celebrate the wins. But then there are moments that are not so joyful. There are moments where I have to face sorrow and disappointment and walk through those moments with my patients. And it doesn't feel good. And I am not like, oh, yeah, let me go ahead and have this conversation. I'm excited. I'm not excited about having those conversations, but I know that they are important and I need to do them, because I know that I have to be able to help you get where you need to go. And in order to do that, I have to give you the information that you need. There is lots of information that's out there, and I need to be able to slim it down so you can understand, so that you can make the right decision. Because I'm telling you, when you have the right person in your corner, you feel so much better. Listen, I found my person because I was in a situation for something that I didn't want to have the conversation. I was not comfortable with it, but I eventually said, I'm gonna have to get comfortable. Let's go ahead and get comfortable and find your person. Found my person, felt so much better. It gave me peace of mind. And that's what I tell people all the time. Find your person that can help you through this, because what I do know, at the end of the day, all of these things are going to affect your health, your personal relationships, all of those things. And if you can be able to get some peace about that stuff, then I say, let's go ahead and start getting open to it. Because what we're going to do here is, in a few weeks, we're going to start talking about some things that are a little bit uncomfortable. So I wanted to ease you guys into it so you'll know what's coming. And one of the topics is weight loss. And I didn't think weight loss or weight was a big deal until I started realizing that it's very triggering for some people. Our society and our culture does not necessarily embrace people who are overweight. There's a lot of shame, there's a lot of negative talk associated with it. There are a lot of things that happen with that process. And I have patients that don't want to get on the scale, all of that. And so if you're in a moment where you say, you know what, I realize I'm overweight, I want to be able to do something about it, let's figure out how we can do it. How do we help you get to the next level? But we have to be willing. We have to be open to the conversation. We have to say, okay, yeah, I have this issue. I want to be able to work on it. I want to know what caused it. I want to know how I can get better. All of those things. Because I know that once we know the things, we are more empowered and we're able to get to the next level. That's my whole goal, is for people to get better and to get to where they want to be. If you guys have found this helpful, it makes sense to you, then make sure that you send it to some other people so that way they will know about it and be able to start having these conversations. Because I know the holidays are coming up and families are getting together. That may be a good time to kind of delve into some of these conversations with people if they're open with it, or try to get them to become more open with it. But go ahead and share it to some other people so they'll know. If you have questions, hey, I'm thinking about approaching so and so about this. How do I do it? Go ahead and do it. I approached somebody about a situation that I had, and I said, I'm not really comfortable with this. And I keep saying this. I have patients that are dealing with it. How do I become more comfortable? And they were an expert in it. And they said, hey, let me tell you, this is how you do it. These are some things that you can do to help that situation. I was like, great. And so it was another tool in my tool bag on how to do it. So if you have any questions and you say, you know what, I might want to talk to somebody about so and so. How would I approach that? If you have questions about it, let me know. If you have questions about anything else that's going on, but make sure that you continue to follow, because I have some great um, other topics that are coming up in a little bit, and I'm really excited about them. And I have some great speakers that are going to join me so that they can get the information out, because they're excited too. But like I said, for some people, it can be a little bit uncomfortable. So I want you to just continue to follow that. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope that you stay well, especially during the holidays. And I will see you soon. Thank you.